Welcome to another live recording of the Business Travel 360 Linking the Travel Industry podcast, where we discuss travel industry news you're talking about on LinkedIn. My name is Rian and I'm one of your hosts today. I'm a co-founder at Agentivity, a travel data platform which unlocks opportunities with data in corporate travel. So if you are a TMC or even a corporate travel buyer and want to talk to me about what you can achieve with data, please get in touch. As usual, I'm joined by Anne and Ash. Over to you, Anne.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Anne. I'm an independent consultant with LeapShift and happy to help you with anything related to distribution, airline retailing, NDC, and much more. Over to you, Ash.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ash. I'm the host of a weekly business travel podcast called What's Up in Business Travel, where we give you only the important updates in under 15 minutes. Additionally, I'm the vice president at Traxo, and this is Linking the Travel Industry.
If you are new to the event, what we do here is we discuss travel industry stories that was raised the previous week that had the most discussions and interaction on LinkedIn, and then we just go over them a bit more in detail here. First story that stood out for us last week was the fact that the entire Lufthansa group, which includes quite a range of airlines, have now added or in the process of adding the ability for their customers to add their own Apple AirTag to their baggage tracing service. So, wonderful development as far as I'm concerned. I do love this sort of thing. I feel a bit sorry for those Android users who are without the Apple AirTag, but maybe that comes later. Right, Anne?
I echo exactly what you say. I mean, it's just great to see development and progress in this area. It is, as we know, much needed. So just really happy about it.
Ash, you ready to add your AirTag to your Lufthansa app?
I mean, we're talking about the Lufthansa group, but this actually is something that United and Air Canada have already done.
Yes.
So we might want to broaden the scope and say Star Alliance initiative, right? So that's pretty good, right? That's pretty good. I'm not really too excited about this. All you're essentially doing is sharing the details of your AirTag with the baggage claim people who are then going to use that information to go find your bag. I think one can find it themselves. You don't need to have the baggage claim people looking for it. I'm really not sure what the baggage claim people do in this process besides just become a middleman. And they're the ones that lost the bag. So why would you trust them with the information that you're giving them?
I think what we're celebrating here is a big red tape piece of achievement that just suddenly happened. Ash,
I would rather share this information with my travel agent. Now, if a travel agent was going to help me in this situation, I'm willing to pay money for that. By the way, anybody is a TMC or is related to TMC, you should get into the baggage claim business. And that's where you can charge good fees for your travelers.
So yes, I would agree wholeheartedly. I have to also add, I had to read that statement quite a few times to figure out what it is they actually did. I just hate it when they do. It's so complex. Why don't they just say what they've done and just get on with it?
Yeah.
It was extremely complicated. Either way, despite all the negativism here from our side, we applaud the group for moving forward. Let's do the same. Let's move on. So next story was a post I saw. I mentioned this last week. Jay Shabat from Skift started this rumor. I'm just going to blame him outright because United firmly denied it. So this was the rumor that United might be interested in buying JetBlue. He ran a poll, LinkedIn post, that had more than 250 votes. It turns out that United strongly denies this rumor. And most people in his, 57% of those who voted also said, no, they shouldn't do this. So, Ash, this is what I mentioned last week when this came up. But Anne, do you think there's any truth in this, or was it just something Jay wanted to get out? I don't know.
There's always an element, isn't there, of truth, right? There could be. We just love Jay for it, don't we?
Yeah. Any further comments? Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Any further comments, Ash?
I was just going to say that I love the way he presented the poll.
Yes.
No, curb your enthusiasm. That was funny. The JetBlue Caribbean market that they have is very complementary to United. United does not have a good Caribbean presence. This actually does work.
This one is a post that I read and reread, and so I'm going to ask Anne to explain this to us. But this is about All Nippon Airways, ANA, and Lufthansa. They're starting a proof of concept for Sirex's One Order, focusing on the feasibility of the IATA One Order-based accounting and settlement. And I'm not even going to pretend I fully understand this. So do you mind just explaining to us what it is they're doing here?
Well, I'm going to delight you by saying that I don't fully understand what they're doing here. I've read and I reread and I'm reading and I'm rereading. And I think it's great that we have a proof of concept. There is nothing in there about what the order is going to look like, which where I have, all the questions. I mean, I think it's fine if you do something from a revenue accounting perspective, but if this is a proof of concept, the one order, are they, what system are they using for that order? How to exchange the information between themselves?
There's definitely something you do know here that I don't. So what is CIRAX or CIRAX, or how do you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's the Lufthansa Systems revenue counting system used by both airlines. So Lufthansa Systems and OpenJaw are working together on, I assume, the future one order. And as part of that, CIRAX is the revenue accounting process for that, which is also a standalone product. So it can be used by other airlines in this context.
I spotted the story by Avi Meir from Travel Perk, who was just celebrating the fact that Uber had enormously great financial results in quarter four, and he was singing the praises there of Dara. I know we have another fan in our audience here of Dara. So, Ash, are you echoing Avi's post there and sentiments?
Absolutely. I think that Uber just keeps hitting home runs after home runs, and these numbers are quite impressive. I mean, I'll just read a couple of snapshots here for you. 18% increase in full year bookings, 19% increase in total trips booked, 18% increase in revenue, membership grew by 60%. I mean, these are just mind-blowing numbers, and I'm just rattling off a few for their end of the year as well. So, and by the way, Uber for Business has over 200,000 companies signed up for it. And the way they're pumping out direct messaging emails, if you're in the TMC business and you're not involved in rideshare in any kind of way and form, then that's a missed revenue opportunity. I mean, just look at some of the numbers we're talking about. So, as a TMC, the traditional air, car, rail, hotel, you got to go beyond that. And I think that sometimes we forget that travelers are consuming so much more outside of air, and it's missed opportunities. And by the way, they're going to be partnering with Delta Airlines very soon. So you're going to start to see a lot more coming into Uber's portfolio outside of just what they do directly as well.
Yeah, 100%. Before I give my comments, and what are your thoughts on this?
I'm just celebrating it. And actually, I can't resist saying this, but can you imagine? I mean, here Uber they've really gone forward with new technology, new approach, a real modernization of what they're doing. Imagine if more companies could do that in our industry and the potential profits we'd be looking at.
Well, you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, what wonderful opportunities for the rest of us to learn from this. But if only they would. I love your comment. We are all about additional revenues for TMCs today, right? That's the second opportunity we've just identified. Well, not necessarily identified. I mean, most people, a lot of agents do, but I would echo your sentiments there. If you as a TMC are not involved in ground transportation, you definitely should be. And there's the wonderful people like Journey from Daniel Price in the UK, who's actually quite focused on that to offer agents that ability. So maybe that's something we should talk about more. Just want to turn to the audience and say thank you so much for giving us your time on a Monday. The room is nicely packed. We appreciate that. If you can, please have a look around the room and see who's there and send out some connection requests. And also, please do accept connection requests, because our ultimate purpose here at Linking the Travel Industry is not just to bring you the news, but also to connect as many of us as possible to one another. We do believe that is much needed in our industry. So we really appreciate your time today, and we love the comments you share with us here during the show. We really appreciate that. So thank you for that. Okay, let's back to the list of events. Another post that caught my eye, and there was quite a few about these, is about the fact that British Airways, they did some changes and rolled back a few of the changes they've announced in their frequent flyer program. There was lots of comments about this. So on the one hand, you can probably say they did listen to the feedback and they made some adjustments. On the other hand, I don't know whether they thought about this, thoroughly enough. Ash, I'm going to start with you. I mean, what are your thoughts?
It always surprises me with all the members that an airline has in the loyalty program, how they just don't seem to be able to understand their own membership. There's so many ways to do that, to get feedback from them before you go out there and make a fool of yourself by retracting after you have made an announcement. These things are just unacceptable. I think that what they did do was to reduce the hurdle for their silver and bronze members, which is good. The switch to spend-based, we talked about it on the show. I think Anne wasn't a big fan of it. I think Rian, you might not have been a big fan of it. This is the new way to manage programs now, is spend, because it's directly related to your credit card and other things like that. That's going to really make you a lot of money. Going from miles and distance to spend is definitely the right approach.
It does line up more with the American way of doing things, I would agree. And before I come to you for comment, I just want to mention we are aware that there's lots of trade challenges at the moment with BA as well, right? You see quite a lot of comments in some of the forums about trade complaining about functionality, and even on frequent flyer, services as well, where they are complaining about the functionality on the various BA websites. There are multiples. So anyway, what are your thoughts on this?
I can only echo really what Ash was saying. I mean, I think it's disastrous. I mean, it's the worst thing possible when you just have to retract and start apologizing. And I just don't understand. How do you end up here? Like you said, I follow several BA forums. There are so many complaints now that it's just not funny. So this is not what they needed. They really need to get their act together here.
They need a new website, right?
They need a new app and they need a new website.
We did see this was in the news with us before. Snowfall, they've been in and out of the news for not necessarily the best reasons, but last week they've announced that they're relaunching as Junction in what they call a full reset of the business, and there was a coverage of that in Business Travel News Europe. Just for those who are not aware, there were issues before with unpaid payroll, and the CEO then being interviewed and saying no, it's all fine, and then some staff coming online and saying no, it's actually not fine. So even in this post about the relaunch of Junction, there was some negative criticism about unpaid payroll and those issues still being there, and this is not the way to just sweep things under the carpet. So don't know all the details here, but that's what we can see on the comments. And any thoughts on this?
Yeah, it sort of shows you the power of social media, doesn't it? And the power of LinkedIn, because, I mean, it's not as easy to just go out and say, oh, we've just rebranded and we now call it Junction and Happy Days, right? Because it's not Happy Days. People are complaining about, 4 months outstanding salary, 8 months of outstanding pension. It really is disastrous. I wouldn't do it, right? Or I tread very carefully.
A story I spotted because I follow Itika de Jong from the Telegraaf. She's in Holland. The article isn't Dutch, and the story was behind a paywall. I just found the article very interesting. I do like Peter Elbers and following him. Peter Elbers, the CEO at Indigo. He obviously used to be based out of Schiphol. He was just interviewed and saying he would love to take Indigo over to Schiphol. But of course, as we know, in Amsterdam, there's quite a lot of focus on reducing the number of flights and making the availability of slots, quite difficult indeed. So he was just talking about that, how we will find that quite difficult. So, Ash, I don't know whether you managed to see much of that, seeing there was in a foreign language and behind a paywall, but what are your thoughts?
I read every word of that article in the foreign language.
Excellent.
I was quite impressed with it. My only question is why? I mean, why go to Amsterdam? Why does anybody want to go to Amsterdam? I don't understand that thinking at all. I mean, you're doing well. Everything is going well. This is how CEOs make a bad decision because they're somehow connected to that city. I need to go back home. No, you don't. Stay away.
It's weird.
You're doing well.
We think on the same way of things. My first thought here was this is an emotional decision. It's not a business practical decision, So yes, I agree. Speaking of another emotional attachment who just can't get rid of this, so Tim Clark, he's really still crying about the A380. He's a big fan of the A380 at Emirates. As we know, they are quite successful. They are probably the most successful operator of that aircraft. He has been for a long time saying he wants them to continue building it. Of course, they haven't. And now he's saying he really wants them to build a variation of it with modern technology that will take away all the negative, aspects of the original build. So I just thought that was interesting. I spotted this on a post by Jefferson Ding from Dragon Aviation Capital. And he's not letting that one go, it seems. So, as we are speaking about emotional attachment. So I think those were the stories on my list. Let me ask, Anne, do you have an extra story for us this week?
Just had one story that caught my attention, and that's because I'm a big fan of his. I saw a post by Tony Fernandez. It's about the diversity in AirAsia and how people are always, given a chance, that they're, of course, very known for having many female pilots, having actually a school for female flight mechanics. And his post was very endearing to me. So check out Tony Fernandez's post.
Okay, cool. And Ash, any extra stories from your side?
Yeah, so we've talked about this in the past, and I wanted to share this. Allegiant Airlines, remember they built a new resort, Sunseeker? Well, apparently they're looking to sell the majority of it because they're not making a lot of money on it. We had predicted that they wouldn't because no one wants to stay at a hotel that's run by an airline. But they actually lost over $200 million. Big loss coming from that sector. The other thing I want to talk about is actually some good news. So in Mumbai, there's going to be a new airport that's going to be launched very soon. And when I say very soon, I'm talking about in April of this year. It's called the Navi Mumbai Airport, code N Nancy M. Michael I India. And so this is a new airport that's going to take some of the active flights from the main airport in Mumbai. Domestic flights will begin in May of 2025, so just a few months away. International flights will follow in July of 2025. They're expected to handle 2 to 3 million passengers initially. So this is going to reduce a lot of congestion in the Mumbai airport. So this new airport, Navi Mumbai, set to open just in a few months.
And just on that topic, a fun fact for you is a post I spotted on Skift in January this year talks about the fact that India is planning to build 50 new airports in the next 5 years. So not even the next 50 years, but the next 5 years, compared to us pondering and maybe thinking and considering a third runway at Heathrow, right, Anne? So yes, it's very exciting times.
Or reducing flights in Amsterdam.
Yes, indeed. So,
it's like the opposite direction.
Exactly.
Exactly, it is.
Yes. So I do think that is a wrap for this week. Very good week full of stories there. Thank you so much for all the comments. We really appreciate them. We do this weekly, as Ash will tell you at the end. But from my side, thank you so much to Anne and Ash. Over to you, Anne.
Thanks, everyone. And like I said, especially thanks for all your interactions and comments. Over to you, Ash.
Thank you all for joining today's live recording of Linking the Travel Industry. We record this podcast live every week on Monday. We ask that you share this event with others that you know. Chances are high that if you enjoyed today's session, others that you know will as well. If you ever miss a show because of time zone availability, we make the podcast available on businesstravel360.com. This is Linking the Travel Industry, signing off.